So, welcome back to
Okay.
another episode here at HBR Houston Business and Real Estate, where you can find the best information regarding real estate here in the Houston area. And today we're talking about leads, and more leads. As last week, I promised you guys that we were going to talk a little bit about social media strategy whenever it comes to marketing, but we're going to really focus on the back end of that. And that is once you do bring in your leads, whether that be organic or it be paid leads. And before we jump right into that section, I really want to talk about this new lawsuit. It just seems like the the last half of 2024 is lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit for NAR, and they just got hit again. And this has to do with the type of leads that are being handed out to realtors whenever they are paying from them for somebody like Zillow or Realtor.com. And these realtors are saying that these leads are either not a lead whatsoever or they're barely a lead. Now, I am not a fan of paying for leads in general, but it's something that we can discuss. Did you guys have a time to go over kind of like what was going on with that lawsuit?
I did. I think that they should definitely follow through with that. My confusion, and maybe Nate could shine some light on this. I thought that NAR owned Realtor.com for a while, and I thought that we used to pay for commercials through our NAR sponsorships. Like I was really proud back in the day when you used to have your Realtor.com. Why use a realtor? They had your realtor pin, and then at the very end it said this is where you find a realtor is Realtor.com. And our ad, and it was like our marketing dollars were sent that way. And then all of a sudden we didn't own the website through NAR anymore. And then it was a place that was trying to compete with Zillow, Trulia, all those other, paid lead websites. So I was always confused about how that went. So I feel like we should have sued them at that point.
we so at the time, I want to say it was 2012 or 13, while everybody was gearing up and getting their outfits and dancing shoes ready for TikTok shows. I was actually going to war with Zillow. I don't know if you remember. I
Yeah.
got in trouble with her, and man, I honestly I felt stupid because I thought this whole time Zillow was our enemy. All along, NAR was in bed with Zillow. NAR had given Zillow access to the MLS, and they were essentially selling us back our leads. That was my frustration and what I was really upset about. And they fell off, of course, right? That didn't last. But when they fell off, NAR took such a big hit, they had to sell Realtor.com.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they sold Realtor.com, and they sold I forget what else. They owned a whole bunch of stuff. I don't even remember where they used to go to all the things, or they sold a portion of it, something like that. I really don't remember exactly how it was. Really haven't looked into it, but
What,
um,
whatever NAR gave to Zillow and allowed Zillow to access through, Zillow was able to refine and do better than our local MLS.
yeah,
HAR is one of the best MLSs in the nation. It is one of the best, has a great interface, great system, great tools, great MLS service for us as agents. And Zillow is able to identify the coming soon listings before
Yes.
HAR. They're able to get some of those listings before they're even public on our side, which is the craziest thing that I've ever seen.
yeah. It's owned by Move.com or Move Inc. That's who owns
Yeah. So,
Realtor.com.
like the specific wording that they have here in the article is the real estate industry against filed a lawsuit against Move Inc., the parent company of Realtor.com, along with subsidiaries of National Association of Realtors. So somehow it still ends up being part of NAR.
There's some, so a lot of people don't understand that there's so many components associated with it, right? And it's just kind of like with Zillow. If you look at, what is it, dot loop,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at dot loop, or if you look at anything showing time, at the very bottom it will say that Zillow owns it, right? And so there's just some things that NAR or really MLS or can't sell. I mean, it can't sell or can't give away its whole MLS system, right? So there's agreements that go along with the sale of the company. So if they sold Realtor.com, well, Realtor.com no longer works without the MLS. So it has to come with a whole, I guess, a package, right? That we don't know because nobody really does any investigation, right? So I'm gonna give you an example. I used to work in a dealership where the owner sold the whole dealership. It was several dealerships, right? Several different car makers. They sold it to AutoNation. Well, AutoNation purchased it, but the actual, the guy that sold it held on to all the land and turned it into a land lease for I think 30 years or something crazy like that. See what I'm saying? So in that sense, that's how these websites work. It's impossible for you to sell realtor.com and then turn around and sell back MLS. You'll have the upper hand. So in the negotiations has to have some kind of lifetime or long term favorable lease agreement for you to be able to get those listings.
So this is exactly where NAR's fault comes into play, at least what the plaintiffs are saying, right? And of course, NAR is completely denying the allegations, but it says here that the plaintiffs accuse NAR of aiding the fraudulent activities of Move by leveraging its relationship with Realtor.com to build its membership. They also argue that NAR endorsement and affiliation with Realtor.com led them to trust and rely the quality of leads, resulting in significant financial losses. So not necessarily that they were promoting the sale of the leads, but they were promoting the Realtor.com, and that's where their fault is in here.
That's where I started this off. That I was saying I thought that we were.
Yeah.
I trusted Realtor.com too, and I was proud of it, like a dummy. I'd seen them on the Super Bowl commercial, and I was like, hey, we're part of that. I like that.
Yeah.
And I was really excited. And turns out they just backstabbed.
You want to hear something funny, right? I've been watching a lot of podcasts about this, right, in the real estate industry, and there's one, BAM, right? So Broker Agent Media, they're really, really, really heavy on media, and they make commercials and stuff for themselves, and they're like, those were the most crappy commercials, and they were dropping millions of dollars on them.
Yeah.
They were like, NAR, you
that.
are not a media company. Stop with the commercials and start helping your realtors who are signed to you.
Yeah.
They were so focused on promoting themselves. And I mean, look what's happening. They folded almost every single time on lawsuits. Why? Why aren't they pushing back? Why aren't they fighting? Why do they keep folding?
Because they do nothing for us and charge us a lot of money, and they have the money to throw at it.
Well, the reason that they're folding is because they don't want anybody to investigate them.
There's more to dig up.
There's way more to dig up if you actually go after them and they try to fight. So they have the money. This is I've spoken of this before, and I say that it's a double-edged sword, right? Because yes, has NAR been selling us out all these years? Yes, they have. Okay, but they are a very powerful organization. They're almost like the cigarette companies. They have the lobbyists at Washington. They make things happen. And so it's kind of like if you get rid of them or if you're not a member with them, or if we lose them, we're exposed. We're on our own. And I know right now it seems like we're on our own, but if we totally get rid of them, we will be definitely on our own. We'll be super exposed.
That's what a lot of agents are complaining, that really I feel like a lot of agents actually don't see, how they're helpful to us. Because, at the end of the day, what we see every single year, at the end of the year is just the dues, where, you're just paying the money, and really what are, agents, getting back from them.
Okay.
Like they really, I feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding there. Really, what are they doing for us?
I mean, it kind of goes like, what does the president do for you? You know what I'm saying? The president of the United States really doesn't do anything for us here locally by ourselves. But in reality, I mean, he has a government.
No, he does a lot.
And
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yes,
after he takes his 4 naps a day, yeah, Biden.
I mean, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a government here, and we live under those rules and those guidelines that help us live comfortably here, right?
Well, really, what NAR is supposed to do for us, they're supposed to be our lobbying arm in Congress, right? They're supposed to lobby for us, but I mean, obviously, they're not doing
No,
their job.
not doing their job.
They have been selling us out for years. I've been saying this. I mean, you could go to my Facebook, and you can go all the way back to 2012, 13, when I was getting into these big old arguments with these Zillow guys, and I had one of the HAR, I guess whoever was their attorney at the time for HAR, I still have that message. Send me a message and told me to stop sending those messages that that I can be sued. And I was like, what? I got freaked out. I was like, why is he singling me out? I'm just talking crap on Facebook. I'm the shadowy figure just throwing shots on Facebook, right? but no, it was. I mean, I was definitely hitting on something that
You were
they
stirring the
didn't like.
pot.
Yes, and there's I don't even want to name him, but he's still part of NAR, and he won't talk to me.
So they scared you.
I don't want to say they scared me, but
they did.
I mean, I don't want to mess with
But
my
I
life.
stopped posting.
I do not want to catch. I don't want to catch. Well, you know what? Let me rephrase that. I didn't want to catch a lawsuit in 2013. Today, I don't care. Just go for it, man. I got money now.
Yeah,
Let's-
they said
let's
I
do
started
it.
posting on my private account, but that's public now.
That's public now. That's public now. Shit, they want to bring if they want to bring the smoke, I'm ready. I'll fight it out on Instagram. I'll fight it out in the public.
No, I was reading.
They won't come at me now.
I was reading on those lawsuits, and they were complaining about the fake leads, and they were talking about how some of these leads weren't generated leads. If any of you guys here, we have landing pages, we have all the links that you have, the link tree and all that stuff. I mean, you have bots and you have AIs that are kind of like trained to just go and like capture your website like information on how it captures your lead and how it captures your software or software capturing stuff. So they should have had some sort of better capture, some sort of different vetting process, especially for the amount of money that you're paying for those leads. And I think we paid for leads a long time ago, and we had some really good clients. We had some really good success, but very quickly we saw the quality of leads drop, and we decided that it was better to get away from it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, and that's a perfect segue going into. I mean, unless you have something more to say about
No.
the lawsuit itself.
Well, the thing is that we paid for leads as a company, right? But you know, we used to work for a builder too, remember? And we used to have what was called BDX leads. We had Hot on Home. Remember Hot on Homes?
Mm-hmm.
We had Hot on Homes. We had a lot of these leads that were coming in, and I'm telling you, and this is why whenever people say, oh, you know, they come in and try to interview with us, and they're like, oh, well, do you get leads? Because so and so gives leads. And people are like, man, leads don't really make you money. Because I mean, the BDX leads, how many did we have leads? We had, I mean, these guys were capturing leads from all over the nation, and it was like, I want to say, in 1 month we could probably get from 800 to about 1,300 leads, right?
Yeah.
And I kid you not, I would literally sit there on a day that I had time and go through every single lead. Maybe 25% of it was wrong phone numbers, wrong names. Okay. And then the people that I did get a hold of, they're like, oh no, I just wanted to see the house and it made me fill out a form. But no, I'm not, I live in, you know, Connecticut. You know, I just wanted to see what a $150,000 house in Texas looked like. It's a mansion, you know, at that time.
So they were just trash.
Yeah, they were just trash. I mean, I kid you not, I did not sell not one home, and I'm not talking about, you know, okay, I tried it for 1 month or 2 months. No, we had Hot on Homes for almost 8 years. I did not sell not one home on Hot on Homes, and they had a TV show every Sunday that everybody watched and would jump on there. On BDX leads, I think I had 2 people that I got to bring into my office, and none of them turned into a sale. So that not one lead was good for me.
Yeah, and definitely, like I was saying, this is a perfect segue into the organic versus paid leads. Whenever you have paid leads, there's different aspects, so especially like online. Now compared to what you were doing, like your Hot on Homes back in the days, I mean, you could just imagine how many more people are online now versus back then.
Yeah.
So just do that 100 times more. And how are they gathering these leads? How are they qualifying these leads, right? People are just clicking on the house where they have the email already logged into Zillow, onto Facebook, whatever it may be, the realtor.com, and they're clicking for more information on there. A lot of times they don't want to bother their realtor. That's the way they see it, right? And what you'll get, it's a lead that you paid for now, right? Because these are paid for. These aren't just going through your listing and they're clicking information on hard for you. You paid for this lead, and what are you doing? You're picking up the phone, you're calling, you're vetting them. Oh, well, you know, I have a realtor. I just didn't want to bother them because I'm not quite ready to move to the next phase. Now, I'm not saying that paid leads don't work and only organic works, but there's a very special skill you have to have for paid leads. And you, Vic, as a manager, I don't know if you want to dive deep into that, because we just had this conversation recently, because a lot of realtors are talking about, oh, well, now, I mean, the market's drying up. Now I have to pay for leads from these other platforms. Just because you have the leads coming in doesn't mean you know how to work them.
No,
you want to dive deep into that.
Yeah, and I can. I want to ask you as well. I mean, there's double-edged swords, right? Because you've had some success in online lead generating and all the leads that come in and how you close them. And I think we had a conversation when you were early in your career, and I was like, bro, like, I have a different experience than And I'm not gonna say I have a different experience than Nate, just because he was bringing me back to that new home sales mentality. I was like, I'm a closer. I need a name and I need a number, and I'm gonna get somebody over here. Nate's talking about, oh, they were just looking, or I was just looking online. I'm trying to convince you to come down here all the time. And you have to have that mindset with these online leads. You have to keep pushing. You have to keep digging. You're not ready. You're going to be ready in a year from now. Well, come take a look, and I'll show you what I have available in the next section coming up for a year. And you just keep going and keep going and keep going. But you have to have that. You have to have that to get the client in. And the idea that you're never going to sell anybody on the phone, you're never going to convince anybody. You just have to set the appointment. And that's all I ever did. I set those appointments. So for paid leads, I felt like it was, we have a process for paid leads, and it is the very last step in our marketing. And why? Because there are so many other skills that you need to learn before you start messing with the leads, the paid leads. You have to be dependable. You have to know how to talk to them. You have to be good at discovery. You have to be on time and follow up. And there's a different process that you have to do when you get these leads. So one of my favorite things when we used to pay for realtor.com leads back in the day, going back to this lawsuit exclusivity, they would say that you were exclusive, but it was like, that one girlfriend that you were exclusive with, but then they put the mic on you and the camera and she said that she's single. Like, all those guys are
I
like-
feel bad for that dude. I feel bad for him.
but
I feel bad for him.
but I would get on. It would be like that. They would send that one phone number to 3 realtors in the zip code, and whoever answered first is who got the lead.
Yeah.
Supposedly, they take it off of the portal because Nate already answered it or Vic already answered it. Well, I would depend on realtors being late because I knew how realtors operated. I know how I operated. You're stuck in traffic. You have clients. Yeah, whatever reason you give, realtors are notorious for being late, and I would depend on that. So I would say, oh, no worries. You already got an appointment scheduled Saturday at 5 o'clock. Great. I would set a reminder on my phone at Saturday at 5 o'clock to call that lead back again, even though I didn't win that lead over. And I would call them at 5 o'clock and I would be like, hey, how's it going? Are you at your appointment yet? Yes, I'm actually here. Oh, is your agent there? Just wanted to make sure that everything was okay. I was a caring person, and I wanted to make sure that they were getting good customer service. And they would say, no, actually, he's running late. Oh, okay. Well, let me know if he doesn't get there. And I'll check back up in 10 minutes. Hey, is everything okay? No, he's still not here. Hey, why don't you just leave and I'll go show you another house. There's another house down the street that we can go meet at. Boom. They'd go with me and I'd jump the deal. I'd take the deal just because they were late. I knew the way realtors operated and I took their business. I banked on them doing what they knew how to do.
That's a gem right there, bro. He just threw at you.
So
Oh, I'm looking behind
You
him, like,
missed
what are
it.
talking about?
You missed it.
it's
You
over.
missed
It's
it.
over his
You
head.
missed it. It went over your head,
I
bro. The
think
gem he
he's
just
talking
threw.
So I would do that with the paid leads, and they like I was saying at the start of this, there's a different level of follow up that you have to have.
That was Zillow before Zillow became a broker. So Zillow used to give leads. Unfortunately, Zillow was just stealing everybody else's leads and giving them back
And
to you,
selling
and
them.
and your own leads and selling them back to you.
Well, I
But
mean, Zillow's still
Do you
doing
think
it.
They
that's
still-
going
yeah,
to
they still do
like
that.
kind of happen like in social media nowadays? Because I mean, there's a lot of, I feel like honestly nowadays a lot of agents generate leads from social media, including myself. And those leads are great if you know how to work them, like Vic
Mhm.
says, if follow a process. I mean, they can be great leads. But do you think that's one of the reasons maybe that they also want to get rid of like TikTok or things like that, where you're getting basically your money without having to pay anybody for them?
yeah. So the thing is this: if somebody's generating a lot of leads on Instagram or anywhere, they're generating so much that they can turn around and sell them to people. What are they keeping for themselves? You know, if I get a bunch of leads, right, and one of my leads is $1 million home or a super easy home to sell, I'm not giving it away. I'm gonna close it and I'm gonna make my commission. It doesn't matter. And I think Vic has said this too. He's like, hey, look, nobody's gonna give you quality leads. Nobody is. And if they do give you quality leads, they're gonna want to get paid off of it. Because there are, Chase gives you leads. What do they charge you? You don't have to say, but
Huge fee.
huge fee. Zillow might even now Zillow's a broker, so now Zillow can make money off of their own leads. So they're selling you leads at a huge fee. See what I'm saying? And I've had a few relationships like that with companies that were calling people, qualifying them, and giving you quality leads. But what did they want? They wanted a big split, and then you got to pay your broker split. You know, so sometimes it wasn't worth it. So in reality, the best thing to do, and I think this is where what we're talking about today, and where you were trying to go with this, is the best thing to do is learn how to generate your own leads. It's super easy, and you know, you call it organic, but the effort that you're putting into going through 10,000 leads, I'm exaggerating, right? The effort you're putting into 10,000 leads, right? Just to get one or two sales, put that effort into generating your own leads, and you'll get more money out of those. Your closing ratio will be a lot higher.
Yeah, because it's going to give you a lot more exposure.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think the misconception, especially with paid leads, is that just because you're paying somebody, a Zillow or Realtor.com, running ads on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever it may be, the realtor or the person running those ads feels that, okay, because I put this amount in, it automatically entitles me to that person's time, whoever filled out the form. It's completely opposite. That's your barrier to entry. And that's why I don't like paid leads. I've done it twice, right? So I spent like, what was it, like $1,500 a month when I first got into the business, and I was doing the paid leads.
Why break it down monthly, bro? Just say you spent $20,000 on the year.
Yeah, bro. Go ahead, man. It was $20,000.
Say what you just said.
Giovanni got a bunch of commission, and instead of listening to his broker and listening to
I wasted all my saved refinery money.
Yeah. Yeah.
From working the shutdowns. But you know, I remember one day I was sitting down talking with Vic because I was like spinning my wheels. Like, well, you know, I'm getting the leads, especially with the Arsenal program that I had. It wasn't a bad program. It was a good program. It did what it said it would do if I followed the steps and I did it. Where I fell short was I didn't know how to close them. I remember I opened up my lead form and I showed Vic I had like 1,500 leads in there. And Vic was like, bro, like, how are you not a millionaire right now?
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
what are you
I was
doing?
freaking out.
Yeah, he's like, what are you? He's like, show me what you're doing. I was like, well, it's simple. It's a program, and you follow the steps. I mean, you run the ads, you put the money behind it, and that's what I thought. Okay, I put the money in. They owe me their time, but that's not the way it works. And so that was one time I stopped doing paid leads, and then I went on to Zillow. And the Zillow ones I did not like whatsoever. Those, in my opinion, those are the worst type of leads.
Yeah, because
all they're doing is you're pretty much just a door opener.
Yeah.
That's pretty much
Zillow leads are the Nissan Altima of paid leads.
Exactly. And so that's whenever I decided that I was going to stick to organic leads. And for me, organic leads are closer to the bottom of the funnel versus paid leads are on the top of the funnel. And now this is just generally speaking about online leads, right? This is not cold calling, letter writing. To be completely honest with you guys, I think if you do cold call or letter writing, that will probably generate leads for you a lot faster, simply because you're going to get them face to face with them. Quicker,
yeah.
Right. The social media side of stuff, this is something that it takes a little bit more work, even on the organic side.
It goes to outbound marketing versus inbound marketing.
There we go. Yeah.
Right. And outbound marketing, just something that requires, reaching out to do via cold calling, letter writing, things, you're going out, you're going out to do that. Right. Inbound marketing is just drawing people in, right?
Yeah.
Being creative, your content, distributing content, whatever those forms are for inbound marketing. And I think when we started in real estate, when Giovanni started in real estate, I think that was what you wanted to focus on more importantly. And Nate talks about this all the time, that in real estate, people join and they want to grab the low hanging fruit. Mm-hmm. It's just the easiest. Oh, if they're calling me, it's easy. And you quickly learn that the low hanging fruit might not be the easiest one. Yep. And if you guys have ever actually tried to grab the low hanging fruit, you know that you grab it, you're pulling. Sometimes that one doesn't even fall out, but one from a different side falls. And you're like, oh, okay, let me go get that one. So that's how I look at leads in general. It's, you got to try a bunch of things. And Nate taught me something early in my career about spinning plates. And I've always thought about marketing that way, that you have to have different marketing tactics. You got to continue to work them all, right? You got to keep spinning them. The moment you stop, everything falls apart. You got to keep working. It doesn't matter which one. You have to have your process.
And even though right now we're really talking about the online side of it, the online side of it has become so saturated that it is harder than what people consider to be hard, right?
Is, yeah.
Like the cold calling, the door knocking, that's easier because it's pretty much a blue ocean now because nobody's doing that. But the social media side, even though I like it, it's what I enjoy doing, you have to continue to innovate. Now it's no longer 30 seconds. Now it's a minute-long video, you in front of the camera, talking to the camera, and actually providing value. It's not just doing a home tour, walking through it. On YouTube, you can no longer do a 5-minute video just showing a house. you have to do 45 to an hour long video. And you just can't be babbling on there. You just can't be yapping on there. You actually have to provide value. So that
But
takes a lot more time.
what does providing value mean to you? Like on those videos?
So for me, I have a very, you have to narrow down to who your client is, who you're speaking to, right? For example, this podcast here, we speak to realtors. So the conversations that we're having right now is something that realtors are searching because they're lost, they're revamping their marketing plan, what they want to do. So this is providing value to realtors. Whenever I'm creating videos for my clientele, is usually people who are moving from out of state to Texas, or they're moving from on the other side, like on the north side of Texas, and they're moving to the south side or the east side. And so I provide value in my videos by actually giving them what it feels like to live there. It's not just showing a house. So it takes way more research. It takes way more understanding. And just because you have the bullet points of what you want to talk about, now you have to be able to convey that with video. So it's not a simple game plan of just pointing your camera and shooting anymore. YouTube has become almost a full-time job,
Yeah,
to be honest.
that's true.
I think those leads that you're able to generate online, yes, they might not, cost you a lot of money like if you're buying leads, but they cost a lot of your time. And that's something that, a lot of people and agents, don't understand. It's not, about how many, messages you get, in your inbox. It's about how many of those messages you actually take the time to reply and have a meeting with them, meet them in person, and actually get to know what they want. And I feel like that's what a lot of agents online lack. It's just not about, hey, I mean, just send me a message and I'll send a message right back to you.
Well, a lot of people online are happy um, to let everybody else think that they're doing good. They don't even care about making the money. They just want everybody on their social media to look at them and say, "Oh my God, this guy's doing great."
Yes.
And it's just instant gratification, self gratification, really. But what I always found interesting about people who don't want to cold call, right? They're like, "Oh no, I don't want to cold call. I don't like that," right? Those are the same people that will ask you for leads, right? And the thing is that when you have a lot of leads or these leads that you buy or you pay for, it's cold calling because you don't know the person that did the form. You literally have to go through a whole list of people and talk to them. And a lot of times, some of them don't even remember filling anything out. Some of them fill something out just to get to something else, to get to view something online. And you're doing the same thing that you would be doing when you're cold calling somebody who lives in your neighborhood, who lives down the street, who lives in an area that you're familiar with. So I mean,
Exactly. And
yeah.
that's why I lean more towards the organic generation of online leads. Because by the time that they reach out to me, they already know me. And so I don't necessarily have to cold call them. It's already a warm lead. I just have to learn how to qualify them or disqualify them, right? And that's the next section that I want to go into. I think a lot of realtors or people in general in business, whenever they get leads, everybody's always trying to qualify. Oh, how soon do you need to move? How, when do you need to do this? Boom, 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 boom. I think the easiest way to do it is to disqualify somebody right from the jump. You know, what was the reason for you reaching out to me? Right off of that moment, instead of jumping into a whole spill and wasting your time, you should be able to get a feel for them of why they were reaching out. Are they just looking or are they really serious? Oh, they'll tell you right away, I'm actually thinking about moving in 6 months. Then you can get into your whole spill of qualifying.
You
But
listen more than you
disqualifying
talk.
them right away. Exactly. And I think that's what like a lot of realtors don't understand. And that's the hard part. And I don't know if you could explain it probably a little bit better than me because it's something that I'm just learning how to do as well. I always focus on qualifying versus disqualifying.
I have a strict policy here, and I'm just now realizing that you're not following that policy. And so much is making sense right now.
Now I get it.
And I just want to say that
I'm working on it. Bro.
that you will never sell a house on the phone, and you're never going to convince anybody to do anything
Nope.
over the phone. You always have to set the appointment. You have to meet with them, and you should not disqualify anyone. I bragged, and I was proud, and I was always excited to let everybody know I never judged anybody that came into my office in new home sales. When I was there, you see people that came in with the weirdest broken down truck, tattoos, all kinds of crazy stuff. Sometimes people would even walk into my model, I wouldn't even know where they came from. And if I would ever try to qualify them or pre-qualify them before even having a conversation, then some of those deals I wouldn't have. And I will say that I took, took deals from my sales partners or people in our office because they didn't want to talk to those people. And I did because I never pre-qualified or anything like that. Now you talk about disqualifying persons. I never had that attitude. I felt that everyone always needs a place to stay, and there's always the right opportunity for the right person. And I just had to talk to that right person. And even if your time is not now, it's coming. So I need to get you into my sphere of influence to close that deal in the future. So I never told anybody no. I never let them know that it wasn't an option. And I always gave them the hope. And if I didn't, I at least planted the seed that they should be moving.
Yep.
So maybe I should expound on what I was saying. So it's not disqualifying somebody by automatically when they come in and listen to them, and it's like, okay, well, no, you can't do no deals. It's disqualifying them on where you're going to put them into your pipeline. Where do they belong? Do they belong at the bottom of the funnel where they're going to do something today, tomorrow, next week? Or they belong at the top of the funnel where you're going to have to work on this person and help build them to get them to that point? I think some people get a lead and that lead is not ready to do anything for a year or 2 years, and they're trying to force them to do them now. They want to qualify them right now, trying to force them to do something now when that person is not ready. So not disqualifying by saying, no, I'm not working with you and move on to the next one, but disqualifying them by should they be at the bottom of the funnel or the top of the funnel? That's where I was talking about disqualification.
So I'm gonna tell you a story, right? That I remembered today. That we're having a conversation totally unrelated to what you're talking about, but it reminded me of something, right? When I was 20 years old, I hit a lick, okay, and I had 5,000. It was like $4,800, and it was burning a hole in my pocket, right? That was a lot of money back in what was that, like
62 or
90,
something?
97, like 96, 97. I don't know. It was a long time ago, right? That was a lot of money. And I'll never forget, there was a house that somebody had remodeled right around the corner from my grandfather's house, right? And in Pasadena. It was a 2-bedroom, newly remodeled home for $60,000. And I said, you know what? My grandfather always said, buy a house, buy a house. I said, okay. I said, I got money in my pocket. I had great credit. I called the number on the sign, right? Because that's what you did, or that's what I thought you did back in the day, right? You drive around and you look for a house, you see a sign, you call it, right? I can't even tell you. I wish I remember.
You remove the sign to
I
make
wish
people think that it was sold already.
Yeah, right. I wish I remembered the name of the brokerage or the realtor or whoever it was. I just didn't know any of that. I was treating it like a car dealership, right? I wanted that person to close me. I wanted to call that person on the phone. That person be, hey, come in, come talk to me. Let's talk about it. Come to my office, right? So I called the guy and I said, hey, you have a house here for sale, and it says $60,000 on the sign. There was actually a price on the sign. And the guy was like, he goes, yeah. He says, how much money you got? And I said, oh man, I got probably like about $5,000. He said, call me when you get 10, and hung up on me. That's what the realtor told me. Okay. Because he qualified me on the phone based on probably my accent. I have an accent now, so I can imagine how
That's
my accent
that's not a qualification.
Hold on.
Qualification question.
Hold on. The thing is this, right?
That's a turn down.
It's a turn down, right?
That's not qualifying.
That was a straight turn down.
So how you gonna tell me what's a pre-qualified question?
So the thing is this. And this is what my meetings have been about. And you missed my meeting this morning. Okay, my training this morning. What I'm saying
Somebody
is that
didn't qualify me to be
what
there.
I actually pre-qualified him.
You
Determined that
pre-qualified he shouldn't be at this training. So the thing is this. What I'm saying is that everybody needs to have a consultation, and you need to speak to everybody. And this whole thing where he's not ready and you're trying to make him ready. No, everybody can buy a house. Everybody. We just have to figure out what they need to do to buy that house. And it does take pulling credit. It does take getting all the information together. Because if we don't pull credit and we don't see where they're at right then and there and send them to a lender, we won't know how far along he is or how far he needs to be. You understand? So this thing where you talk to him and I think I know where you're going with this, right? You're saying that you call him and he says, oh, they call you and they're saying, oh, I think
you're imposing something that I didn't say.
Okay.
Because I do believe in consultations. That's all I do. I consult with my clients. Actually, the next note on here was having a Zoom call with you and your lender with the client.
Okay.
Those are the qualifying and disqualifying. I think you guys
So
think
how do you
that I
how do you
judge
disqualify?
somebody because I like to wear my suit and I like to smell nice. Just because I'm not disqualifying somebody how they dress.
Well, I've seen the way you
That's
treat
not
some of the guests here, so that's
how I
what I'm
treat
saying.
you, how I treat you guys. It's not the way that I treat my
I'm
clients.
shocked you think you smell nice.
I mean, I'm just gonna say
shout
that
out to
never,
Nishio and Food for Greatness.
Hold on.
never judge a book by its cover.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely,
That's
Giovanni.
exactly what I don't do.
Oh, Giovanni. Oh, come on, bro.
Well, in my personal and business, are two different things. My
All right, go ahead.
clients-
Expound.
my
Expound.
clients-
How do
that
you
was-
disqualify?
okay, so-
Disqualify somebody.
So that's where we're going. That's where we're going to the next step, right? The
No, hold
next
on.
step-
Disqualify somebody.
I'm gonna disqualify you. Right
No,
here.
like disqualify.
You
What
want me to call my
would
lender?
what would be a disqualifying
Huh?
disqualifier for you when you talk to somebody?
Once the lender says if this person's ready or not, then we put them in a pipeline. I'm talking about disqualifying them from the bottom of the funnel to the top of the funnel.
Okay.
So if they're not ready to be at the bottom of the funnel, meaning that they're ready to do something right now to where you can actually help them out, then you need to put them at the top of the funnel and figure out how to get them to the bottom. It's not about throwing the lead away. That's not disqualifying somebody. That's helping them get to the qualification. But you have to know where they land. Maybe it's the way that I
Maybe-
wrote
I
it
think
down.
I think the actual word disqualifying was used.
Yes,
Well, I think
yes.
that's a trigger word for y'all because, for whatever reason. But for
All
me,
I
it's
heard
not.
is that I didn't get approved, and I'm gonna go to somebody else.
Well, you didn't get approved right now. It doesn't mean that we can't work towards it. It doesn't mean that we can't work towards it. You follow exactly what my lender says. 6 months, we'll get you in that new house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you're not going to go show them a house if they're not qualified right now. Go show them a house tomorrow.
Oh, of course
Are
not.
you? Okay. So you disqualify them
wasting
from
your
that
time.
aspect.
That's not
real
disqualifying him. That's just
That's disqualifying them
just-
from that aspect of
That's
real
kicking the
estate.
can
Okay,
down
well,
the road.
That's well, maybe we agree to disagree on
Let's
this
disagree.
one. And
Let's-
maybe I
Let's
should
agree
use
to
a
disagree.
different
Let's agree.
vocabulary.
Let's all agree that you're wrong.
I mean, which
How about that?
which volume of
Raise your hand if Giovanni's wrong.
You know what? This is why I don't partake in a Spanish podcast because y'all don't even understand me in the English one, and I speak Spanglish on the Spanish one. I definitely know that y'all don't understand me there. Okay, so let's move forward into the virtual aspect.
Let's go.
This, right. So if you can't have a consultation, so that's where I was going. It
Mhm.
wasn't on the phone. Can't have a consultation with them in person to actually help them out and sit down with a lender. I think Zoom is the next thing, the next best thing. I actually did that with somebody from Africa. From Africa, and I moved them to Mount Bellevue
Nice.
from a Zoom meeting that I had with them and my lender, because that was the only way to do it. So there is ways for you to do it, and you can have that conversation there. As a matter of fact, I prefer to have Zoom meetings for people who aren't in state and I can't talk to them. I don't really like to talk to them over the phone. I rather do it on Zoom so they can see me and I can see them, and now we can build a better relationship.
how do you
almost like you're in
I,
person?
I can't relate, bro. I'm like that guy that's like vacuuming the grass when he's on his phone. Call me, baby. I'll be on the phone all day.
Yeah, he's
But that's
he's
because
a,
He's gonna be working in the background on Zoom. Yeah, bro. Yeah, what do you need?
Hey, bro, but how do you close them if they can't smell you on Zoom?
What do you mean? Oh no, that's whenever you show them the house. Then they're gonna be like, "Oh man, this house smells great." Nah, that's me.
I do think that it's important to have backup processes if you cannot meet anybody in person. But there's something that we like to set here, which is setting expectation. And the expectation needs to be to meet in person. And if you absolutely cannot, you've exhausted every avenue, then it's okay to go to the exception, right? And the exception will be Zoom or Teams.
Yeah.
You obviously want to push for that in person. Nate and I had a conversation a couple years ago, and we were talking about how dynamics in real estate were changing, and neighborhoods were going back to kind of like old school. We were talking about Sears magazine. It was a conversation that had nothing to do with real estate, and we ended up, talking about real estate, how a lot of communities are going back to just hanging out in their areas. So like the malls are dying off, but a lot of these shopping centers are popping up with a bunch of stores and brands and things like that. And it feels like a very town, like going like old school town.
Yeah.
You're just in your area. You're not really venturing off. You have movie theaters, you have parks, you have all kinds of things, and you're getting that same feeling. And I think that like fashion, what goes around comes around, and trends are always coming back. We're getting to that same thing with sales. People want the professionalism. They want to meet with you. They want to build value. They want you to talk. It's all coming back around where people are wanting to be respected and spend time. We had a reset during COVID, right? And
that's what triggered it.
Now we're back.
Everybody
And a lot
wants.
of triggering on this podcast.
Well, no. Everybody wants to have community again. Everybody wants to know who their police officer is. Everybody wants to know their school teachers. Everybody wants to know their neighbors. Everybody wants to know their realtors now. Everybody wants to know. They want to bring it back to the way it used to be back in the days, because everybody just got so
Tired.
but they got tired. Yeah, they did get tired, but they also, you don't know your neighbors anymore. You don't know your. I mean, you look at these school shootings and you're like, how did this happen? How did the school shooting happen? How did this? How? Why am I getting
Bro,
robbed?
you
Why
you
am
literally gave me advice when I bought my house at 20 years old and told me not to talk to any of my neighbors.
I told no. Hold on. I
They
told
didn't want to meet you.
Hold on,
Yeah.
hold on.
I
I
said,
told
don't
you.
ruin it for everybody else.
No. Listen. I told you not to talk to your neighbors because yeah, you were living in exclusive neighborhoods and it's different. You can't be acting crazy and acting.
Nate was like, "Don't let your neighbors."
How
get
many
to know
neighbors did you piss off?
All of them.
How many
I
neighbors
fought
did you?
with
Yes,
all of my
exactly.
neighbors.
I said, Vic, stop talking to your neighbors, bro. Because you got to think about this. When you're in real estate, especially as young as Vic was, buying his first house, right? How old were you?
I was 21.
He was 21 years old, right? So you buy your house, right? And he didn't buy a little house. He bought it was like a 2-year-old home or a 1-year-old home, right?
Yeah.
And so you live in a neighborhood, right? And your neighbors are all freaking, they're engineers, they're freaking whatever, they're all working class people, right? And Vic's over there waking up at 1 o'clock in the
Partying.
afternoon partying with a motorcycle in his living room, I mean, who's gonna hate on him? Everybody, It's like myself. I try to keep low key too. When I moved into my neighborhood, right? My neighbor, all of them retired oil and gas guy, on one side. The other side, the guy's an engineer for Shell. Across the street is another engineer for whatever. And it's like, these people see me at home, waking up in the middle of the day, with 3 Cadillacs. It's like, they're like, what does this guy do? Of course, we're Mexican, right?
And then Giovanni
we
comes
sell
over
drugs.
peeling out in front of the
Giovanni
house.
comes to my house and peels out in front of my house. I mean, it's wild. So that's why I say, hey, stop talking to the neighbors, or stop. Like, hey, don't upset anybody. Like,
First of all, you're the one who wanted us to do that. You're the one who wanted us to do that. It's 1 a.m. He's over there telling me and my cousin, peel out.
He said, bet you won't peel out.
Bet you won't peel out.
Yeah. And then he blamed it on us whenever his neighbor came. Oh,
my neighbor came and knocked on my door.
It's my
at 3 in the
family.
morning.
They don't live in neighborhoods like this.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever you
Talk
live out
about-
in the
talk
country,
about,
you don't have none
judging a
of
book
those
by
issues.
its cover. Yeah, he's over here blaming it on us.
Oh man. All I do gotta say is that on online leads, something that I think everyone needs to take more serious is that if you don't respond within the 5 minutes, if you respond to an online lead within 5 minutes, you are 21 times more likely to close that deal. If you wait after 5 minutes, your chances of closing the deal drop by 80%, which is a huge statistic, which is why I'm always on my realtors to make sure that they're answering. Just super ironic if you know me.
And I think that was really the point that I wanted to get across. Not that I'd be judging people by a book by its cover. That's not the point.
Nah, bro, that's what you said. That's what I
the
heard.
point that I was trying to get across on this
That's what I
is
heard.
that everything works and nothing works. It just depends on the way that you're handling it, right? Online leads, whether they're paid or organic, they both work. You just have to have a process for it. And as long as you're implementing that process, then of course it's going to work. But if you're the downfall with online paid leads is they can become a freaking money pit.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
And then you're gonna be even down bad, even worse, right? Because you're gonna be out of money and you're not gonna have no leads, or you do have the leads and then you're not gonna know how to work them, and then that's gonna be demoralizing to you. It's gonna put you in a bad space.
I'm going to give a warning and disclaimer, and this was in a different life. And honestly, it wasn't even me, so I'll share this story. One of these realtors was struggling to pay a contract that they had honored, and I took it over for them and updated my card. And then I fired that realtor because he still didn't do anything and got me into this contract that I had to honor for him. So I kept paying this contract, and I said, I tried to cancel. I said, hey, this realtor's not even here. He's like, well, he signed on behalf of the brokerage. I was like, I have no idea who this guy is. He's not here. I'm not paying for it. We canceled the card, and our new card, they still got that new card. And then we canceled it a second time, and they just kept following us, hounding us down. We were not able to get away from that. So huge disclaimer on paid leads.
Yeah.
Read those contracts that you're signing because you may not be able to get out of them, and they will track you down.
And they don't care. They'll literally send you, this, if you tell them if they tell you they're going to give you 20 leads a week, they're going to give you 20 leads a week. Are they going to be good? Probably not. you know. And you know, you think about like people that pay for their likes or pay for their follows, right? I mean, there's people out there that pay for leads so that they'll go in there and generate these leads so that you can get, because oh, look at all the leads you're getting, you know. But I wouldn't pay for leads. I
And
wouldn't.
this online companies are getting like really smart on also, kind of hooking, like agents onto these leads. Recently, I received an email and a message from this company that I have never heard of, basically saying, hey, you have a new lead for this property, and they send a phone number. So I called the phone number, and it was somebody that didn't know anything about the property. He was like upset, bitching at me, saying that, hey, why are you calling me? I never called you, da 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 da. So just they're just grabbing out like all of this information from people like that literally just click into their website,
Yeah.
and they think
Yeah.
it's a lead.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, that was this week's podcast. Unless you have any final thoughts. No.
No?
Okay.
Well, I mean, we want to know, like, how many people have you been disqualifying so that
Oh
No,
man,
here-
I'll
do you
give you
have
my pipeline sheet.
do you have a list so we can
I do.
call them?
Look,
You can.
I have a question because I asked this to Ryan, Sir. How do you say it?
Sirhan.
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 Sirhan. I feel
Sirhan.
like Nate always says it wrong. Now I don't know how to say
I see
it.
Sirhan.
I
Is it
gotta watch
Sirhan
these
or
Sirhans.
Sirhan?
All right.
Yeah,
All right, go ahead.
So
Sirhan.
I said, gun to your head, right?
Oh,
So-
that was freaking awesome.
Gun to your head, under pressure. You need to make money today, Giovanni. What are you doing?
Shooting another YouTube video.
Okay, I love it.
I mean, calling all my sphere of influence, probably.
You got to let me ask the question.
Oh,
Now your turn. Gun to your head. what do you?
You want to redo
What do
it?
you?
This is live, so
Nate, gun to your head. You
Gun-
got to make some money today.
Gun to my head, I do what Sirhan said.
Okay, what was that?
You want to say it or
Really quick. Oh,
really quick what he said?
Yeah.
He said, I'll pull out my phone. He said, I will scroll through it, and wherever it stops, I will call that person. That's what he said. And he said he's done it before. He said he's literally pulled out his phone and just go through all his contacts and start calling people from his contacts. And he says that those conversations sometimes don't turn into sales, but it will start a conversation or remind him about another person, or that
that is
person
funny.
will bring him
A referral.
a referral, or tell him, hey, you know what, so and so is doing this, so and so is doing that. Do you know so and so is getting divorced? Do you know so and so? And then you start making all those phone calls. So your phone already has a bunch of freaking contacts that you can go into and you can get leads out of.
Your phone has money in it. Use it.
Yep.
All right. Gun to your head. Gun to your head. And now you got to give me another answer because you ruined the first one. Gun to your head. You need to make some money today. What are you doing?
Close my eyes.
close my eyes and wherever my finger
said-
lands, that's who I'm calling.
She
That's
said,
what I learned
she
today.
said, close my eyes and go live on TikTok.
So this is a prime example.
Really, that's
Really?
She would close 5 deals.
Heck
probably
yeah.
on
This is-
TikTok.
This is a prime example. The realtors copycat each other. Sometimes they don't even know how to do it. So don't copy everybody. Work on yourself and work on your craft. That's what you got to do.
True, definitely.
True,
And I think
yes.
that goes back to what I was saying, right? Everything works and nothing works. It just depends on what you're good at. Double down on it, and then once you get better at that, then you continue to build on top of it. And yeah, that was this week's podcast. If you want to get disqualified from coming to the podcast, reach out to Nate, and I will do a disqualification for you. Because obviously, that's what I do. I just be disqualifying everybody.
Disqualified. He
Yeah.
disqualifies podcasts.
I will
Yes.
say he has not been doing a good job at disqualifying some people. So
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I got to take over now because Nate just lets
I
everybody
mean,
come on.
bro,
yeah.
I mean, hey, if
Nate
you're-
said everyone's a potential deal.
there is a potential deal, bro. Everybody's a connection.
You know what? Do y'all? Okay, maybe that'd be for another podcast. But I was watching another podcast, right? And they were saying that that's a major turnoff for people who are not in sales. The fact that whenever they meet salespeople, that they feel that salespeople look at them like they are just another deal.
Yes,
Walking money.
that is a major
Mhm.
turnoff, and that's why my whole training that I've been.
That's why I disqualify them. Like, bro, you can't even do
See,
it.
look at
And Giovanni doesn't know that he's doing the takeaway close, and that is one of the most effective closes
Yeah,
in
it
there.
is.
I'm not a salesperson. I'm not a salesperson.
That's why I say that whenever you meet somebody, the first 15 to 20 minutes of the conversation should be about absolutely nothing but that person or to build rapport, because yeah, they do look at you like that.
You know what I do? I like to pull up a house in their neighborhood and I show them like, man, it's nice. Yeah, so yeah, you can't buy that one.
That's the bait on close. That's the bait on close.
My cousin just bought one like it, but you can't.
This is I don't know if this is something I should brag about or just something I should share. I feel like I was losing my game a little bit, but it worked in my favor. So I feel like, maybe I should explore more often, talking about different type of closing techniques. We talk about everything else besides the sell, and I never really pitched my services. We're just having conversation, and the guy was in some A&M program that I was telling you about, farmlands and all this stuff, and I didn't really say much. I told him the name of the company. Obviously, I had my hat on and I had my shirt on with my logo, and I never asked for the sell. He was mentioning that he was looking for farmland and he was doing something. I never asked for it. I was just like, oh man, that's really exciting. I will say that I assumed, because he was in this program and what he was doing, that he already had an agent that was doing the searching for him. And it turned out that he did not, but he was so impressed with the conversation we were having that he called me after and found me himself online. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Maybe that's the problem, because whenever somebody starts talking about real estate to me that I don't want to help, I don't say anything.
No.
And then they keep asking me. So maybe I should start talking to them about real estate and they won't want to use me.
Yeah.
As soon as you meet them, yeah, like, hey, you should buy 5 houses. Yeah.
Whoever ever was like, hey, you should buy 5 houses, man.
They're just going to call Nate.
I think it's because, nowadays everybody is literally asking for the sale, left and right.
Yeah, that's true.
So everyone's just getting like fed up and, seeing you online every day and then seeing you in person and, talking about the same thing.
Mhm.
And then whenever they do see you online, right, we're going to exit because we're already past a little bit of our time. But whenever they do see a lot of us in this industry online, it's the same thing over and over again. It's all about sales. Like, bro, stop talking about the freaking NAR lawsuit. You don't even understand what it says. Why are you talking about it?
Nobody understands.
Why are you talking about freaking 6% interest rates? Why are you talking about, oh, this new home sales rep has a $20,000 discount? Everybody knows that now. Stop it. Provide value. That's what people need. That's why I focus on my organic stuff. That's where I feel like I can provide value. And I don't have to disqualify anybody, because by the time they get to me, they've already done the qualification for themselves.
Yeah.
They've already disqualified.
Disqualify those realtors, bro.
That's that. Oh, I love doing that. So now that I got the free go ahead, I'm gonna definitely be disqualifying everybody who wants to come on here. But yeah, if you want to come on here, qualify you or disqualify you, this is HBR, Houston Business and Real Estate. We are live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. We also have a Spanish podcast at 6. Houston, Sin Límites. And I'm Giovanni Frank, your gracious host with Lionsgate Realty.
So I'm Nate Balderas. I'm the master broker for Lionsgate Realty. You can find me on my social media outlets at Better Call Nate. And if you want to be a guest on the HBR podcast, we're holding auditions next week on Monday.
Disqualified.
I am Victorino Cortez. I am the president of Lionsgate Realty. We are hiring, actively recruiting. We're excited to have you on board. I also want to disqualify you, so bring it on.
Flor Velasquez with Lionsgate Realty. You can find me on all my social medias, Flor Velasquez Realtors. And I'm also the Spanish podcast host.
Alrighty, guys. Until next time.